Okay, awesome. So like I said, everyone, my name is Daisy Colon. I'm your WBBC COVID Marketing Coordinator here at El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today we have the future of contactless payments, digital tools, and COVID trends. Our presentation today is by Ms. Ginger Siegel. She is the North America Small Business Lead from Mastercard. I do want to talk a bit about the chamber before we begin. Your El Paso Hispanic Chamber has been serving the small business community for more than 30 years. We are here as your small business resource. Of course, everything that's been happening with COVID, we have been the #1 resource for our business owners and entrepreneurs. The vision of the chamber is to become the core component for the El Paso region in fostering entrepreneurial economic development where our existing companies are growing, where our entrepreneurs are reaching new horizons, and where our small minority and women-owned businesses are thriving and outpacing all other markets. So if you are interested in becoming a member of our Hispanic Chamber, we offer various benefits. We offer networking opportunities. Of course, these have all become virtual with COVID and everything that's been happening. We offer business development benefits, financing benefits, procurement benefits, and advocacy benefits. We do have advocacy specialists that are willing to advocate for your small business to our local and state government. Here at the El Paso Hispanic Chamber, we have 3 entrepreneurial technical assistance centers. First, we have our Women's Business Border Center, and that is specifically for businesses who are barely starting or who are less than 3 years old. And then we have our MBDA Business Center. This center is directly funded by the U.S. Department of Commerce and operated by the Hispanic Chamber. And that is for those businesses that are above 3 years old. If they're looking for certifications, if they want any contracts with the government, we would definitely direct you to the MBDA Business Center. And then we have our MWEBC Center. And that one is also funded by the U.S. Department of Commerce and operated by the Hispanic Chamber. And that is specifically for those businesses that wish to do business with Mexico, for example. Here in El Paso, we're right on the border of Mexico. So if you want to expand your business globally, we would direct you to the MWEDC Center. And now I would like to present Ms. Ginger Siegel. She's the North America Small Business Lead for Mastercard. Today, she's going to be talking about the future of contactless payments, digital tools, and COVID trends. I want to give you a little bit of background on Ms. Ginger before I give the presentation to her. She was most recently the leader in the financial services group at Deloitte, where she was a member of the highly ranked payments practice with a focus on fintech and bank partnerships and small business and commercial banking opportunities in the areas of strategy development, process design, and operation model transformation. Ginger brings 30 years of industry leadership experience as an executive at large multinational and regional banks in the areas of small business, business banking, and retail with a focus on strategy and execution, payments, treasury, management, Salesforce, and branch optimization and revenue growth. She is a frequent speaker at national conferences on the topics of small business and business banking and has been interviewed by Forbes, U.S. News and World Report, and USA Today on these topics. She was a keynote speaker at the 2018 American Banker Small Business Conference and a nominee for the 2018 Women in Payments Award. Her passion is to help clients with overall revenue growth, customer acquisition, and the creation of strategy to enable execution. Ginger continues to further Mastercard's commitment to championing small business owners every day. Throughout the year, Ginger mentors and provides guidance to small business owners, one-on-ones, as well as larger events where she speaks to personal growth and business development. She has been very involved in Mastercard's Women's Small Business campaign that is shining the light on women business owners who are driving impact and continues to provide guidance on personal and business investment. So, Ms. Ginger, I will let you take it away. We stopped sharing our screen, so you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Daisy. It is so good to be with you today. I am going to, let's see, can you see my screen or not yet? Let's see. Let me just get my screen up here. Bear with me here, a little technical difficulty. Let me just get it back up here. It looks like it went away during that time. Let's see here. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm just gonna go pull it back up. Okay. All right, now I'm going to share my screen and hopefully we will be good. There we go. Tell me if you can see it, Daisy, and then we will be good to go.
I can see it.
Excellent, excellent. So hi everyone, and thank you all so much for joining. I know that it is hard to get away from your busy schedules, but I am so honored to be with you all today. There's just so much great stuff that your organization is doing. I don't know if you can see me. I just see my name. Let's see. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Bear with me. Can you see me, Daisy?
No, I cannot see you.
All right. I think, bear with me for 1 minute. Hold on. Okay, and now we're going to share my screen. Okay, I think we're good now, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. I just got to, okay, excellent. So, you know, as Daisy said, I am here to talk with you today. And really, first of all, want to thank all of you for all the great work you're doing on behalf of small businesses everywhere. We know that there is a lot going on right now with small business and that there are a lot of challenges that you all have. And so what I want to do today is do my best to help you to overcome some of those challenges, but more importantly, to give you some tips and advice about what we're seeing in the industry. I'm just trying to get my slideshow working here. Oh boy. Boy, you know, sometimes you just don't get the technical things working well. Hold on. Bear with me. Well, I think for right now, we're gonna have to do it this way. Let's see, I'm just trying to get the right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, we'll just do it this way for now. Hopefully you can see this. But first of all, again, I want to thank all of you for the great work you're doing. COVID has created so many things that are looking to be the new normal, and we so respect the things that you're doing and how hard it is every day to run and manage your business, whether you're restaurants, whether you're contractors. We know that in El Paso, you support your community really well. And today we want to try to help as best we can. But one of the things that I think is really great is that Daisy and the Chamber actually did a survey of all of you. And I thought it would be really interesting to visit some of those things. I know that there's concern out there about digital and what does that mean for me? Is it tough? Is it hard? But it's interesting. But a lot of your small businesses in your community are actually doing just that. I was actually surprised by some of these numbers, Daisy. So we know that 66% of the businesses that are members of the El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce said that they were already using contactless payments. 75% already use either online payments, virtual meetings, or electronic receipts. And then 50% of you are using cards to make transactions. 33% are using cash and 17% checks and direct deposit. Now we know that particularly with COVID, there's been a really strong push away from checks and cash. And whether you're actually making payments or whether you are looking for how your customers are paying you, that's really one of the things that we want to talk about today, which is how can you really look to greater contactless payments? How can you look to digitize your operations more? And hopefully that's what you'll all walk away with. I am going to still try one more time to see if we can get this. There we go. Perfect. All right. So today, I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about the small business landscape. And in the United States, there's actually 30 million small businesses, and they are responsible for $9 trillion in sales. So if any of you doubted your importance, know how important you are. And if COVID has shown us anything, it's really shown us how important small businesses are to our community. Actually, we know that almost 50% of the entire US workforce is actually employed by small businesses. And so the work that you all do to run your business, you are actually helping consumers in the United States as well, because you employ a majority of them. We also know, unfortunately, that what we're hearing from small businesses is that about 76% of them are already negatively impacted by the outbreak, and that number is growing. So again, we know there's a lot of tough things going on between the openings and the closings, between the inability to keep in contact with your customers. And what we want to talk about today is some of the research, some of the things we're seeing from small businesses, but then more importantly, what are some of the things that we think all of you could do to help in your efforts to serve this space? So again, I mentioned that the ripple effect of COVID is really far-reaching, and we know that many of you might have been financially stressed before the COVID-19 outbreak, but we know that during and after the pandemic, there has definitely been an economic fallout. And we know that the US government, it has certainly worked to try to provide emergency relief, but we know that all of you need immediate and long-term support to succeed. That's why I've been so impressed with the work of the El Paso Hispanic Chamber, because they are there to help you. And it's wonderful that all of you have such an active organization, and you should feel really proud of that. So what I want to do now is talk a little bit about some of the trends that we're seeing in the space. So for example, we know that there are many things related to contactless. And as many of you know, contactless payments is actually the ability for your customers to pay you without actually handing you a credit card. We know that 74% of consumers said that they want to continue using contactless post-pandemic. The reason this is so important is that you want to meet your customers where they are. And if they are of the mindset to want to use contactless, you want to be able to be ready for that. And it's interesting that if you look globally, beyond the US, we know that 46% of global consumers have actually swapped out their top of wallet card for a card that will provide them the ability to pay in a contactless way. And so we think with social distancing evolving into more of a long-term norm, continued reliance on delivery and pickup, particularly if you're a restaurant, different points of sale, it's really going to mandate different types of payment methods. And so we think contactless is absolutely something that the Chamber and myself wanted to focus on today. Another big trend you're seeing, and I'm sure many of you are seeing this firsthand, is really the focus on e-commerce. We know that e-commerce sales are actually up 202% from April of 19 till April of 20. We know that these sales are growing stronger, and it's not just retail. It might be e-commerce sales for restaurants, e-commerce sales for your plumbing company, e-commerce sales for your landscaping organization. There's a large variety of companies that are really seeing this in e-commerce focus grow. The other thing that we hear from small businesses like yourself is that if we are going to have an e-commerce presence, we really want to understand social commerce. We know that social media is a very big thing. I mean, your own chamber uses Facebook, which says it like it is. And so we know that for many of you, you want help. How do we really develop a website? How do we really enable our business and its ability to use social media to the best extent? And so as time goes on, these are going to be some of the things that we know small businesses are going to be looking for help. A third trend we're seeing is really around data. Many small businesses are telling us, look, we don't necessarily see our customers as much, and we don't necessarily know how they want to engage with us. And so organizations like Mastercard provide data to our partners like banks and organizations like the Chamber to really help them provide all of you the kind of data to understand how your small business customers are consuming and how they're going to engage with you. We certainly know that engagement is different, whether it's in restaurants and limited outdoor dining or limited indoor dining. There is a very big change in how your customers want to engage with you. And we think that's another really important trend that we're seeing. Something I really want to focus on, I always, even though this is a topic that frightens people, it's a very important topic. When most people think about cyber attacks, most people think that it's the big companies that these bad actors go after. When in reality, we know that almost 50% of cyber attacks happen to small businesses. And this is something that's really important to us because what we want to do is help provide tools that will help protect small businesses. Now, even though this is such an important part, and even though we know that cyber attacks are happening more, there's about 80% of small businesses that really are not monitoring cybersecurity threats. And we know that about 81% of small businesses tell us that they wish that they would have alerts as to what is happening in the cyber landscape. And so you'll see in a little bit the kinds of tools and solutions that we provide, as well as assistance to give you more guidance and education, is very, very important. We work closely with the Global Cyber Alliance, and this is something that we really feel is important because we feel a lot of small businesses need the education, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I do want to land home the importance of cyber and how expensive it is if a small business does get a cyber attack. Another big trend is crisis management. I mean, look, I don't care who you are, whether you're the government, whether you're the chamber, whether you're the hotel industry, or whether you're John's, food and diner on the corner. Very few of us were ready for this crisis. Very few of us had the capability to truly manage through the crisis in the right way. And so we really are focused on helping our partners with important tools and solutions so that they can manage through it. And we're going to talk in a little bit about a really great program that we have called Digital Doors, which combines a lot of assets and resources to help all of you, but we'll get to that in a minute. One of the things that I wanted to do today, I think I was very impressed with the work that Daisy and the team are doing, because their concern is not the chamber, their concern is all of you. And by the same token, we believe very strongly that we should be focusing on things that you as business owners need. And so I want to introduce you to Christina, and Christina could be any one of you. Christina actually owns a restaurant in New York. She had to close her cafe for a little while, but now it's reopened. Christina's husband is a chef, and he also was out of work. But Christina isn't concerned about things she can buy. Christina's concerned about how she's feeling when she wakes up in the morning. And again, I think this could be any one of you who's listening to us today. So Christina wakes up. She obviously has a difficult day ahead of her. She has to really worry about her financial position, worry about her cash flow. She has to stay connected to her customers, knowing that they may not come in the restaurant. She also has to address threats. I mean, she just got a notification on her phone that there might be a potential cyber threat to her email. And she also is focused on finding relief. What kind of credit or funds access can she have? So the way we look at it is, because of our partnerships at Mastercard, we provide a number of different tools and solutions that we put on our credit cards things like a 24/7 business assistant, helping all of you with your financial management with QuickBooks and TurboTax. We have a receipt management tool where you can actually download for free a receipt management app where you can take a picture of your receipt, categorize it business and personal, and then upload it into your accounting software. So I'm not going to go into this in a lot of detail, but the point here is that if you're working with really good partners, and because you work with El Paso Hispanic Chamber and they work with us, it brings to bear some of the great tools and solutions that we have to help all of you. Now, you know, one of the sad parts is that we know that 71% of small business owners have seen a revenue decrease since the pandemic began. 28% have seen revenue decrease by greater than 50%. If I can leave any of you with anything, you are not alone. You are not in your own situation. There are a number of people out there that not only are in your situation, but are also there to help you. And to be honest with you, when the Chamber reached out, because of the great work they're doing, we just wanted to help as best we could. We also know that because small businesses are so important, that the projected number of job loss due to small business could be up to 47 million. And we know that about 62% of small businesses say that they need to get some relief and help within a year, or they just don't know what they're going to do. But again, I bring you these stats not to get you upset or scared, but to let you know that you're not alone and that a lot of people are trying to work on things to help you. So, you know, one of the things that I heard from Daisy and team is that, you know, there's a number of you that are not really sure about how to go digital, not really sure about contactless. You might be a little nervous, a little bit afraid, but I wanted you to know that many small businesses are already shifting in a very big way to digital services to improve cash flow and really modernize their payments ecosystem. So when you talk to small businesses, the majority of them say speed and security, about 91%, and transparency are top priorities. Actually, 82% say they've changed how their business sends and receives payments, and 51% of businesses that we talk to in the US are actually transitioning their clients to digital methods. So I would say to you that all of your fellow small business owners, they're all thinking about the things that you are. And the great assumption is that because you're on this conversation today, this is something that you're thinking about. And we want to give you hope that it's something that many are doing. We also know that online card payments have increased by 60%. You know, if you think about COVID, you know that the touching of cash and checks is not something that we all want to do, right? We just don't want to touch it. And we know that the use of cash and checks has actually decreased more than any other payment type. And this was really interesting because over 2/3 of small business owners said that one upside to the pandemic is that it prompted them to upgrade their digital and e-payment solutions. Now, what I think is important for all of you to know is that for those that have done it, 81% say it has improved customer satisfaction levels. And quite frankly, the other really important piece is that you want to change the way your customers want you to change. So if there's one organization that, let's say, accepts contactless and another that does not, the one that does not may put themselves at a disadvantage. And so that's why we wanted to bring you this information so that you would feel confident and secure that you are not alone. So digital is the new normal. We know that there is positive sentiment, there's increased customer satisfaction, and we really believe that small businesses are going to stick with some of these digital business payments even as the pandemic subsides. Now, for those of you that are a little worried about what's needed, you know, for many of you, it's not going to be a huge advance in technology. There's a lot of organizations that are out there that can help you get set up quickly. But we do know that 70% of small businesses said that they were willing to invest in new technology, and 73% say digital payments are the new normal. So I thought these were some really important points. Again, to summarize, a big shift to digital business payments. There's a big digital payoff that small businesses see, and digital is the new normal. I thought this would be interesting for all of you that, and I will just leave it here. Small businesses write 8 times as many checks as consumers. You are all, as a small business, spending about $1.3 trillion on checks. We know there's more fraud with checks. So it's not just about receiving payments, but how you yourself are going to make payments and whether you're using card and non-checks and cash. This is an important thing that we're seeing in the industry, and I thought it'd be interesting for all of you to see that as well. Now, I also thought one of the things that I talked to Daisy and team about is really to let all of you know what's happening in terms of, how our small businesses using things differently. What we saw is that online credit and debit cards, as well as digital wallets where you store your credit card on file, actually showed the largest increase in usage. And you can see here a 60% increase in credit cards, 60% increase in debit cards online, and 66% increase in digital wallets. And again, what that is where you actually put your card on file, whether it's Apple Pay or one of those other places, so that you can avoid actually handing over your card or touching it. So we also know that there's been an increase since the pandemic. You can see the stats there in red. But I think what's important here is that we know that there is a change and there is a movement. And one of the things that, I think it's great that the chamber realized that this was going to be a very important topic and they wanted to bring it to their members. So kudos to them. Again, I want to hone in on this to make you all feel comfortable, which is the pandemic has forced small businesses to really reimagine their financial operations, and they've had to bolster their solvency through digitization. And so that's really going to be some of the other things we're going to continue to talk about is what can you as a small business do in order to really help you from a digitization perspective. So I thought I would give you a couple more stats. We also, in my business, we're responsible for Canada too. And I know you guys are kind of at the opposite end of Canada because you're pretty far south. But I thought you might be interested to see that we're seeing this all over. And I would expect also if you looked at, areas beyond the US and your market, you would see this as well. But we know that 76% of small businesses said that the pandemic has actually prompted them to make their business more digital. 49% have already changed their operating model to be more online. And I think this is really an important point, is that a lot of businesses, about 30% of them did not have an online presence. And a lot of them that did have an online presence really didn't optimize their website. So we know that for some who didn't have a different channel to sell in, this was really a difficult point in time, and many of them had to pivot. We also know that 67% of B2B businesses, so these are businesses that sell to each other, have made their business more digital. So again, what we wanted to do is for those of you that are kind of in between and saying, well, I'm not so sure, is this something that we can really do? Is this something that others are doing? I wanted to assure you that this is something that others are doing and doing it very, very quickly as well. So again, another really interesting stat, 77% of businesses have actually added a digital service since the start of the pandemic. And I thought it might be good for all of you to see what some of those are. So a large number have added e-commerce software, accounting software, like for example, we work with Intuit and QuickBooks, digital banking. A large number have really added payments as a digital service, other support services. So you can see that there's at least 4 or 5 changes throughout the ecosystem in order to do that. However, what we saw is the ability to sell online, so e-commerce, the ability to manage your transactions and your financials online, which is accounting, and also digital banking were the most oft added. And so as you're thinking about maybe not jumping in completely, but how can you phase in, here's some ideas of some of the things that people have done already. Now, we've been spending a lot of time talking about stats, and I think what's important is I think hopefully all of you have the framework as to why. Whether the pandemic hit or not, digitization of small businesses was coming. We know that many small businesses had to reinvent themselves. They had to look for other channels, other operating models. We also know that consumers are much more focused on digitization. So you think about, the iWatch, you think about people that pay with their phones. Your consumers, the people that frequent your businesses, are making those changes. And so what we want to do is, on behalf of the chamber, give you some ideas and things to think about around what you can do. So one of the big things that we've seen is this idea of going digital and creating an online presence. And we're really excited to present to all of you a new program that we have called Mastercard Digital Doors. And encourage all of you to look at the following website when we're done: the Mastercard Main Street Resource Center. I'll repeat that again, and I'm sure that Daisy can have that available if needed, but the Mastercard Main Street Resource Center. This is a curated set of solutions and webinars just for all of you as small business owners. And on that site, you will find Digital Doors, which is a new program that we have for small business. But why did we develop Digital Doors? We developed Digital Doors because we know that there is that huge rise in e-commerce. So because of e-commerce sales, we want to help small businesses meet their customers where they are. And we also know that there's a big gap. So at least 30% of small businesses do not have any online presence, and they plan to create a website in 2020. But we also know some of you might have a website today, but it may not be thoroughly optimized. You may feel that there's gaps in your website. And so what we wanted to do is, because small businesses have been forced to close their brick and mortar shops, we know there's been significant financial losses. And we know that consumers are actually accelerating their adoption of digital commerce. And so because of that, we've created Digital Doors. And what Digital Doors is, it's a way to help small businesses to create online storefronts and actually provide tools where it will help all of you to operate successfully in both a digital and physical environment. So this is not about getting rid of your physical environment, but it really is helping to provide access to a number of e-commerce capabilities, products, and educational resources to empower all of you, both for those who are creating websites for the first time, as well as those who are deepening their digital penetration to actually thrive online. And I do want to mention this, that, COVID has caused a lot of us to really feel badly and to be really concerned about our future. But we have a lot of hope, and we believe with partners like the Commerce and the work that, organizations like Mastercard are doing, our focus is on helping you as small businesses come out on the other side and grow again. So that's really important. So let me talk a little bit about what Digital Doors is. So we have been very excited because we have actually developed partnerships with organizations like Shopify, BigCommerce, and Squarespace. And through them, small businesses can actually find the right tools to move their businesses online. We also, through the end of December, are providing free cyber protection, so that because you're online and because you're going to have greater needs, we are going to wrap around some free cyber tools. We also have built an online digital curriculum. So this is a curriculum free that's online, that's got some great educational resources from organizations like Squarespace and Hello Alice to help you build your digital presence. We're going to be adding a lot more different classes, such as graphic design. So we're really excited to have this available. Then I'm really excited about this one. If you accept Mastercard as a form of payment, the name of your store, shop, business will immediately go into a database. And consumers in El Paso will be able to look for your business to see if you're open, and it will also say whether you accept contactless payments. So this is a great tool. It's kind of like free advertising. And then lastly, what we do is for those of you that do not accept cards today, or perhaps don't accept card on file, we have resources that will enable you to do that. We have resources called acquirers that can help you to actually accept cards and further your business with online cards. So this is Digital Doors. We're really excited about it. Again, the Mastercard Main Street Resource Center. I want to also highlight that I mentioned Christina before, and I just wanted to highlight for those people that have a Mastercard small business card, these are some of the partnerships that we have where you can get discounts on QuickBooks and TurboTax. I mentioned our receipt management. We've got great partnerships with Microsoft 365, and also really exciting, an actual CRM system for small businesses called Salesforce Essentials. So again, these new digital partnerships will hopefully help all of you who want to do business digitally. And so we're pretty excited about these as well. So that is what I have today. I wanted to leave time for questions and discussions. You know, hopefully, if I can summarize and leave you all with a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Daisy and the Chamber for allowing us this opportunity to share some research, to share some tools. But more importantly, I want to thank the Chamber for just the great work that you do every day to help the El Paso Hispanic businesses. Look, small businesses are big business, and they are really important for our economy. And I spend every day from the minute I wake up till the minute I go to bed at night thinking about ways that we can help all of you, and knowing that there's some of these really great organizations out there, chambers of commerce, small business development centers. There's a lot of resources out there for all of you. And I know that, you know, Daisy did a brief discussion up front, but, you know, what might be interesting, Daisy, is thinking about kind of what we talked about, maybe some other things that the Chamber has that can kind of lean into what we talked about as well. And then I know we, of course, want to be able to answer some questions too.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ginger. I do want to go off of what you're saying. Mastercard definitely has various resources for all of you small business owners out there. And you know what, working here in my experience, small business owners have come to us and they've said, we didn't know this existed. We didn't know these resources were available for us. Thank you so much. Because of you, I'm able to get this loan, or because of you, I'm able to market my business differently. And I just think it's so important to let them know that there are things like this out there. There's programs they can help better their business, especially during these times. I know there's a lot of uncertainty going forward. So thank you for that great presentation. I didn't know Mastercard had a program like that. It seems like a very insightful program. We will definitely connect our members with that. That's a good one for them. I also do want to touch on how COVID is kind of like a catalyst into the new digital age. Whatever business owners were doing 5 months ago, it's not what they can do anymore. They have to pivot. They have to learn new things. And a lot of our business owners here in El Paso, they've been open for generations, and it's going to be hard dealing with this change, but it's just something that you have to do, especially now everything's digital. You're just gonna have to move that way. But I do know we have been getting some questions in. I don't know if you're ready to go ahead
Sure.
and commence the Q&A.
Go for it.
Okay, awesome. So someone's here is asking a question regarding security issues. They say, I am very concerned about security issues with contactless payment. How will I know for sure that my customer's information is safe? I would like to guarantee that their information is safe so they feel confident I'm not reaching for their card or cash.
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. You know, I think the first thing that you want to do is really think about the way you accept payments. So I think that, you know, when you consider the idea that there's kind of a couple buckets to this. There's the safety and security of your website, of your email. So that's cyber. Then there's the safety and security for all of you. And when you've got customers coming in that are handing you things, I think that it gets very difficult, to tell people you don't accept something. But I think encouraging the use of other forms of payments, contactless, making sure that your business is enabled with a contactless terminal if you do accept cards, and encouraging people for that. Obviously, if you think about checks, cash and coin, they're probably the least safe. Most people don't wear gloves when they go in. Hopefully everyone's wearing their masks, but they don't wear gloves. So I think it's really being very attuned to how your customers pay, and also being willing to have that conversation. I do think that what we hopefully did today is show you that you're not alone, that a lot of businesses are already moving to that, and so it's not going to seem unusual. And to be quite honest with you, we know that consumers themselves don't want to touch cash and checks that much because, again, just, they don't know where that cash and checks have been from the last 6 people. So those are some of the areas in terms of safety and security. And then, of course, keeping your customers safe too, right? Making sure that you're thinking through the ways that not only they can pay contactless so they don't have to touch things, sign things, really, and then also there's the basics of the things that the CDC recommends, which, I don't like to get into, but I think there's some excellent recommendations on when you have a store, how to maintain the cleanliness and all of that as well. Hopefully, Daisy, that answers the question.
Definitely. All right, another question we have coming in is asking, should I offer incentives to those customers that choose to pay through contactless payment to maybe speed up the transition? What do you think?
That's a really interesting question. And, it's hard for me to say because I don't know about what kind of business you have, but I would say to you, that's certainly one way. There's different types of businesses that offer discounts if you pay early. So certainly incentives is not completely out of line there. And it might be a way to get people almost excited about paying that way. And, the other thing is just like today, we all spent time together from an education perspective. There is a certain amount of education. And certainly if you work with your card, the place that you work with that helps you accept cards, I am sure there's education materials they have which can help you educate, because some of this is education and then the rest of it might be an incentive there. It's an interesting idea, absolutely.
All right, another question coming in. Someone's asking, my grandfather is a small business owner here in El Paso. He is very old-fashioned and is hesitant to move to contactless. How soon should we start the transition, and will we be left behind if we decide to just stick with cash and debit transactions?
Well, look, I think it's a tough one, right? I mean, some of us are very averse to change. I'm adverse to change in different ways for different things. I like to use a certain kind of salt when I cook, and I'm just not going to change, right? But I think what's important, number one, is to really understand what the hesitancy is, right? So what is the fear? Is your grandfather afraid of actually what he has to do to accept contactless? The other thing is, when you think about contactless, there's stages, right? Like right now, maybe, I guess the question comes up, does he even accept cards? So certainly cards is better than cash. And maybe you move him to cards first. Then once he's in cards, and that could be a debit or credit card that you accept. So it could be both. And if he's comfortable accepting debit, accepting credit, it really isn't that much difference. And then from there, then you go to contactless. So perhaps one of the best approaches is to really go slow and really find out what the concern is that your grandfather has. The other idea that I would have is, and I've given this to other people, is have your grandfather actually go to places that accept contactless so that he can see how easy it is. And that might be kind of a fun little field trip to do so that he can understand, maybe right now he's just really fearful because it's not something he's really had a lot to do with. So Daisy, I don't know, those are a couple thoughts I had. Feel free to add anything that you might.
No, I definitely agree. Taking him to a restaurant or a retail shop that accepts contactless payments will definitely let him see how easy it is and how effortless it is to just take out your card or take out your phone and bring it up to the sensor. I do know here in El Paso, a lot of people probably think like this person's grandfather. It is just a habit that people have to get out of and just try new things. Definitely.
Yep, agree.
Okay, someone's asking, how soon do you think we will turn into a paperless economy?
Oh, wow. If I knew that, I'd be really rich right now, I think. Look, I believe, you know, if you take a look at other parts of the world, many of them are already cashless. I think the United States is actually slower than most, but I think it's moving there. You know, I don't know if we will ever be completely paperless. You know, there's still a lot of people, you know, even that, you know, send notes by paper, they still write letters. So I don't know if we'll ever get to that, but I do know one thing we have seen is that the pandemic has driven contactless and paperless payments much, much faster than we would ever have probably seen before. So we've already seen that major increase. And so I don't expect that to stop. You saw the stat before that I think 70% of consumers are going to keep using it. I think people are seeing the safety, people are seeing the ease. So I don't know if we're ever going to get completely there, but my belief is this growth is still going to keep happening.
I agree. I have a question kind of regarding the disadvantaged areas in the United States, those below the poverty line. This person's asking, what about the disadvantaged areas below the poverty line, those that don't necessarily have access to apps and digital wallets? Won't this just leave them behind? How can we make sure that it is accessible to people everywhere?
Yeah, I love that question. And the reason I love that question is that I am very lucky to work for a company that looks to help those types of underserved businesses. And we have developed a lot of partnerships, whether it be with Accion or Grameen America. We work with a lot of chambers like the El Paso. We believe very strongly that if we aren't there for those underserved businesses, then we aren't being there for everyone. Mastercard is an incredibly inclusive organization. There's a lot of great companies out there that are looking beyond just the normal types of customers that we deal with. So have heart. There are organizations out there. I've been spending a lot of time with chambers as well as small business development centers. Small business development centers are in so many different parts of our country and are there to help and really help either disadvantaged, advantaged. So I really feel good that with organizations like the El Paso Chamber, like Mastercard, we really are there to help more underserved businesses to make sure that they have access to these kinds of tools. And Digital Doors is available to every small business. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter the kind of business that you are, what your revenue is. So I think there's a lot more resources available, and I really would encourage you to look, keep looking, and then reach out to organizations like the Chamber so they can direct you specifically.
Another person's asking, how safe is this really? I think they're talking about contactless payments specifically. They say, there are so many scams going on right now. I just don't feel safe trusting technology with my hard-earned money. This goes back to just the security issues.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not gonna possibly try to convince people, you know, their level of safety and how they feel. You know, I guess because I work for a technology company that does this, and I know all the tremendous advances when transactions are done. All the wonderful things that have been put in place to really monitor those transactions and help those transactions. You know, I used to work at a bank, and we would see so much fraud with stolen checks. We would see so much fraud with forgeries. So I think that, yes, it's a little scary, but from what I can see, the technology that's being developed is being developed with safety in mind. That is why, you know, the programs that we have that will actually go in and take a look at a small business's vulnerability of their website. We have programs that give small businesses alerts. You know, it monitors the dark web for their email. So I would say to you, certainly you've got to be comfortable, but I would tell you to read up on it, take a second look. because some of the things we use today, we've seen can be very unsafe. And I'm confident that a lot of the technology that we're building and focused on is looking at the safety and security, because we know that's so critical to everything we do.
All right, we have about 2 more questions. This person's asking, do you think processing fees for contactless transactions will be more than card processing fees? What should I expect as a business owner?
Yeah, you know, my recommendation is there are some excellent companies out there which are called acquirers that that work with small business every day to help accept cards. And these folks, their sole goal is to help small businesses with processing and all of that. So I would encourage you to shop around. I would encourage you to talk to 2 or 3 of them, and really take a look at, kind of what the price range is, take a look at what you're willing to afford. Here's what I would also tell you though, is that, a lot of people feel that accepting cards is more expensive, but you think about the cost if someone writes you a check and that check is not sufficient funds, and then you're getting charged $35 by your bank. So I would say do a complete financial analysis before you decide one is costlier than the other. But there's a lot of options out there with acquiring companies to help you.
All right, and now we just have a comment. One of our viewers says, great presentation, Ms. Ginger. Thank you for this.
Thank you, and thank you for saying that, and thank you for staying on so long.
All right, it looks like those are all the questions we have. I do want to mention that we do post this on YouTube, and like I said, it's going to go on Facebook. If anybody has any questions regarding your presentation, I don't know if you want to give your, where can they find more information? Where can they access the Mastercard resources?
Sure. So a couple things. I would encourage everyone to access the following. If you Google Mastercard Main Street Resource Center. And then maybe the best way to do this, Daisy, is if there are questions, maybe they can send them to you and then you can get them over to us. That's probably the most organized way to do it. We can bundle those up and then we'd be happy to help, respond to those.
Definitely, I agree. So yes, like you heard, Ms. Ginger, you can definitely send in your questions. If you're watching this presentation after the fact of it being live, we will answer your questions in the next few days, next few weeks, whenever you send them in. But other than that, do you want to close it out, Ms. Ginger? Anything else?
Yeah, look, again, thank you to all of you for all the great work you're doing to help our country, our communities, to employ people. I know this is tough times, but know that there's a lot of people behind you. Our main concern is that everyone stays safe and know that I guess we have to say this too shall pass, but there's a lot of help for you in the interim. And I wish you all the best of luck as you navigate these kind of difficult waters. But I'm very confident with the help you have with the El Paso Hispanic Chamber. You guys are in really good hands. And thank you, Daisy, for allowing us, myself and Mastercard, to spend a little time with your members today.
No, thank you. It's been an honor working with you, Ginger. I appreciate your insightful presentation. Thank you, Mastercard, for making this possible. I look forward to potentially connecting with you all again and maybe doing more webinars like this. I know everything now is virtual, so it kind of makes it easier to connect with people from across the country. But yeah, just stay strong out there. Let's get through it together. Don't forget that you have your El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here. If you are a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur and your business has been affected by COVID, we have resources here. We have business development specialists ready to assist you. We have a lot of programs coming up, so stay tuned to our social media. A lot more trainings, a lot more webinars are coming your way, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to go ahead and close out the webinar with that. So I hope you have a good day. Thank you again, Ginger.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.